Alright, Kristen, we're going to look at your blocks, and I want you to be pretty patient with me because there's a lot of things that I want to change and a lot of things I want to help you out with. So, one of the first things in what I've said in your brothers and your sisters' blocks analysis as well is that, and this is a common problem, shoulders need to be directly over top of our hands. When we're actually not even there, when we're down in this position, we want our shoulders to be over top of our hands, and then when we come up to set, they should be slightly in front of where our hands are at. Okay? So basically what I'm saying is that when you're down in your start position, there's too much energy going back this way. Okay? So you want to make sure that that shoulder lines up over top of your hands. And as you can see, they're a little back. The next thing that I want to just kind of mention really quick is that it's very uncommon for this knee to be off the ground when you're in this position. When you get up into the set position, you're already going to be, and especially for women, because we tend to be a little weaker than guys on this end of things, but you're already going to be in enough tension when you get up here. So we don't need to be holding it here off the ground and then even longer when we get up here. So just make sure that you bring that knee down to the ground. Relax a little bit. You haven't reached set position yet, so you don't need to go crazy. The next thing that I'm going to point out is that I kind of see that this shin is kind of coming down a little bit, all right? You want to make sure that it's completely parallel to the ground, okay? Because ultimately, our goal is to push out forward, all right? It appears, if I zoom in, and it's hard to tell because it starts to get a little blurry, but it looks like your hands are a little flat when you're here. You just want to make sure that they come up into a nice bridge, almost like you're a cat getting ready to pounce on something. All right, so something else that I see is that it almost seems like if you were to bring your shoulders forward a little bit so that they would be in line with your hands, I guarantee that it's going to feel like you're leaving a whole lot of energy back here, meaning you would probably feel too spread out, okay? So once you bring your shoulders forward, maybe you might have to bring your pedals up a few notches as well, all right? So let's move to your set position. Okay, and it's so funny, you're just like your brother, you're just like Aaron. You put your butt way up there, okay? So when I'm looking at the energy, if you look on the right screen and you're looking at the energy, let's compare you to, I believe it is Nick Wanovich. Let's compare you to him. Look, he's ready to push forward. But look at where all of your energy is going. It's going down. And like we've talked about before, anytime your energy goes down like that, you're going to, boop, immediately pop up once you push out of the blocks, okay? So equal and opposite reactions. We push down into the ground, we're going to pop up when we come out of the blocks. You want to make sure that you're driving forward. Okay, the next thing that we're going to look for is, okay, back to our shoulders, because this is an important thing. Okay, shoulders and neck. Okay, remember how we talked about your shoulders needed to be in line with your hands? The reason we needed that is so that when you get to this position, they would be in front of your hands, okay? Which they're not. Now they're over top of your hands. Okay, and another thing is you look really, really tense up here in your shoulders and your neck. And I think you might be lifting your head a little bit, okay? A lot of that might have to do with how high your butt is, and you don't want to look up when you're in the blocks, but you're not looking completely down, so you probably feel like you have to move your head up a little bit because your butt is so high. And now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out and look at your drive, okay? And I know I picked apart your start and your set quite a bit, but I want you to see why those things are important and what it does to your drive out of the blocks. So here's your initial push, okay? Now that's your full extension out of the blocks. Now what do you see has happened with this foot? We want to put that foot down as quick as possible. That's what it looks like you've done there. And the reason being is probably because you have your pedals up too high, okay? So you might want to move those down a few notches, not back a few notches, down. And then look at this hand here. It's not getting too high, is it? Okay, we'd probably more likely want to see it up here, and then this back arm hand right there, and then that would give us, a much bigger split. So if I zoom in and I take a line and I draw, I probably want to see that hand more there, and I probably want to see this arm more here. Okay, and just remember, like I've told your brother and sister, your legs will angulate how your arms angulate, and vice versa. Okay, so if you angulate and have a big, powerful range of motion out of the blocks, you're going to get the same thing with your legs. So you need to have a bigger split with your arms when you push out. Right? If you do that, and if maybe you relax a little bit with how high your pedals are, you're probably going to see maybe not the best angle you would want coming out of the blocks, but you're going to see something more progressive. And then when you start to master that angle, an easier angle for you, then you can start, pushing the limits and getting a stronger angle out of the blocks. But ultimately, when you have that initial push, you want to reach full displacement into the air out of the blocks, which you do not achieve when you do this. Okay, so one of the last things I want to point out is that you've got a little bit of a bend here at the waist, and a lot of that has to do with the the previous things I've said. You need to work on where your pedals are at. You need to make sure your start and set position are correct, and I think that problem will fix itself once you fix all those other things. So let's zoom out a little bit. Look at your next couple steps. Okay, again, you're trying to stay low, you're not actually staying low. And then look here, let's rewind. Look how it almost looks like you're trying to pull your hips forward to catch up with the rest of your body. Here we are, foot's down, and we're like, trying to pull our hips forward, okay? When we talk about pushing out of the blocks, we want to feel powerful and aggressive. We don't want to feel like we're having to pull something with us. Nobody wants to feel that way. And then we start to become kind of vertical here. And so we don't get very much of a dry phase out of the blocks. Okay? So if you fix all those things with your start and your set, I think that you're going to find that your block starts will get a little bit better. Don't try to rush anything. Try to start with one thing, master it, and then move to the next thing. So we'll zoom even farther out. We'll rewind and let you watch this in slow motion. Okay, so I hope that helped you out a little bit, but if you have any questions, just let me know. You know my cell phone number, 715-619-0150.